First of all, we wanted to thank the Evans Foundation and our dear friends EUN for inviting us to Warsaw one more time. Thank you. Some years ago, when we met each other at the university and started working together, we were fascinated by the power of mixing education and media in order to fight for social justice. That was around 1998, and not much later. Spoken word artist Jello Biafra edited Become the Media. Topics covered in his album included the World Trade Organization meeting of 1999 in Seattle, the 2000 US presidential election, or the Green Party. His statement, "Don't hate the media, become the media," rapidly became an anthem not only for us but for many social movements that were already involved in alternative media projects such as indie media. We have always included this critical thinking ingredient in any media education project we have been engaged in.
Here we are at the gates of the great and powerful Oz, and we have come for your children. We are the real politically incorrect. Our lives are not charmed. We work for a living. When was the last time you admitted we even...
This was the word, what the world looked like when we were growing up. We met each other very young. The fascination of the spectator, I would say. Even though it may sound provocative, this world was divided, and I would say still divided, into two types. The ones who had the power, and I mean the power to communicate and the power to represent a prevailing imagery or reality, and the audience. In other words, those who know and those who don't know, those who teach and those who learn.
Yeah, but something changed, because after this paradigm and after the digital culture arrived, as Nicolas Negroponte, who was mentioned before, said, we came from a world made by atoms to a world made by bits. So in this world, this process of democratization in terms of the access to the tools and the technology, what is erasing or what is putting in crisis is the notion of the expert. But not only that notion, also the notion of the department, the notion of the sector. So what we thought today, it was to introduce a concept which is pretty much related to this culture, the digital culture, and it's a remix. Yes, you always need to do that. So, remix could be considered as the way the culture evolves. I mean, we need to imitate, to make versions, to use appropriations, to copy, in order to build our thoughts, our creations, our reflections. But also, remix can be considered as a technique, as a methodology to deconstruct the media landscape. So, in this world full of mashups, in this media landscape, one of the most, the primarily, and at the beginning of this method, could be considered the electronic music. This is a piece by Eclectic Method. They are video jockeys, and what they show is that using different pieces, what they call samples, you know, like the unit in electronic music, they show that that's the way music works, but also we can consider that's the way culture works. different pieces coming from different contexts being mixed to build something new. But, you know, a remix can be something beyond a funny tool. It can be also a tool to build and to reimagine a world. What if you are a fan of Star Trek, the TV show, and you feel that a social minority in which you take part in is underrepresented? So then you can rewrite the story. You can suggest relationships which are not included in the mainstream and in the dominant show. And this is a piece which has more than 10 years ago, but it's really suggestive. The way is, you know, provoking new meanings that are not part of the original show.
Perhaps, if you can't make your mind up, we'll never get started. And I don't wanna wind up.
In a way, we are talking about the changing of the paradigms in education from the paradigm of the expert to the paradigm of the amateur. In this sense, paradoxically, let us present the secret formula to give up being an expert in media education.
Nice transition, right?
It's not really a formula and it's not really a secret, but here we go. First, recipe, know the rules. Remix itself is not opposed to what in film theory is called the institutional mode of representation. The IMR is a dominant mode of film production and construction, which became the norm by about 1914, last century. The 3D space, the construction of that perspective, the close-up, the eye line match, the directional match too. In order to remix the mainstream imagery, we must consider this institutional mode of representation, just like remix artists, eclectic method again, usually does with their work.
Yeah, after knowing the rules, we need to break the rules. This is a piece made by a young artist before the elections in UK.
Thank you. We've been recording the music video, and it goes like this. I'm hardcore, and I know the score, and I am disgusted by the poor, and my chums matter more because we are the law, and I've made sure we're ready for class war, taking money from the man who works long hours, giving power to the tycoon in the glass towers. That is why I can look you in the eye and say this is the party of the motherfuckers. We don't care about the mother suckers because this is the party of the motherfuckers. And no, I don't think that's
it has right now 5 million views, but apart from the quantitative achievement, what is interesting is this young artist learned in a world in which he didn't expect to be hearing just a discourse. He can just take that discourse and by remixing that discourse build a critical comment. So that's the point of breaking the rules.
So you know the rules, you break the rules. You know the prevailing imagery, you occupy the prevailing imagery and you appropriate it. But you are not original, and that's okay. There's no such thing as one neutral voice, but multiple voices. The most important thing is a choral voice, which we contribute and participate. And it's, in this sense, it's a mosaic of images, words and sounds, what helps changing that paradigm. We are showing some memes where the idea of originality is also part of the parody itself.
Yeah. Yeah, the fourth rule, lose control. Let me just tell very quickly
Do you
this
remember?
story. This is a painting, it's called Exe Homo. In Spain, some years ago, it needed a restoration, so a woman, an 82-year-old woman, made the restoration, but something went wrong. And after that, it started a viral phenomenon. This is in Japan. This can be bought in Amazon. So of course, she lost the control of her creation, but the interesting comment to make here is, this is also culture. I mean, I know that there are some people who don't consider this as culture, but it's also... And it is the relationship between the different images, the conversation, what is the most important thing, and you as an author are losing the control because you cannot control that. Finally, they are, sorry, that was fast. They have a ticket, €1 each person, so they are also earning money with this creation.
Well, obviously, don't take it yourself seriously, or too seriously. Don't take it too seriously, because the game is part of the process of learning, and also the process of occupying and appropriating this whole imaginary. 5 years ago, and we finished, we proposed the term expanded education. It claimed that education can happen everywhere, at any time. And even though we know we live in a complex society, and traditional education is going to play an important role anyhow, because of the different layers that we cannot tackle. Our media landscape is more similar to what's happening here than what's happening or usually happening at school. That's why, and when Felipe was saying that this is culture, as Roland Barthes said, culture is an endless palimpsest, where everything is changing, and the person from Greek who was speaking before, I liked what she said, adjusting to the reality all the time. We hope these two big visions of media and education can eventually, or at least, be complementary. So don't hate the media, remix the media. Thank you very much.